with Supercharged Science, and I wanted to share with you some tips for using a curriculum effectively. So if you are overwhelmed with teaching, especially when it comes to teaching science, and you don't have time, or well, honestly, let me read you this email I just got, and I'm only reading it to you because this is typical of the emails I get on a daily basis. It says, "Good morning. I am homeschooling my 3 children and looking for a science curriculum, and I found yours. What do I need to do? Is it possible to teach all my kids together? How does this work? I need it to be affordable. Is it possible to switch to this curriculum partway through the school year? We've been using this one curriculum, but the amount of work is really frustrating. It's a big hassle. Any information is greatly appreciated." So I'm like just reading that straight off the screen. So if this sounds like you don't have time, background, you don't even know how to do it, or you're using a science curriculum, even if it's ours, even if it's someone else's, and it still feels like a ton of work, this is what we're going to talk about for the next 10 minutes, okay? So if you are listening to me from the podcast, you might want to move over to the video section because I'm going to be sharing my screen with you, and I'm going to show you exactly how to use this. And so my name is Aurora. This is Supercharged Science, homeschool science curriculum for K through 12, and let me show you how you can actually get your curriculum to do the teaching for you, and your kids are going to be so excited and engaged. They're going to turn around at the end of the day and teach you, as specifically science is what we're going to focus on. So they're going to turn around and teach you science. Now let me give you a total example that just came in earlier today. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you. So let me do that here. Hang on just a second. Here we go. Okay, so in my online science program, actually I should probably just start there. Let me just show you what it looks like. Okay, and I'm still not sharing my screen. Hang on a second. Okay. There we go. Okay, so this is my online science program, and it is for K through 12. And while people are working through it, they can ask questions anytime. And that's actually what I wanted to show you. This is a question that came in from a user, and she said, "Hi, Aurora, we are having fun experimenting with this experiment." They're basically dropping balls on top of balls and looking at the impact and momentum. It's a concept in physics. And they're asking, why is the bottom ball not bouncing, and why is energy transferring? That's a great question. So that's a question that I would be answering. But here's the really cool thing I want you to look at, because this is what I'm going to talk about, how to do this. This family is using this curriculum perfectly, because watch her second question. Actually, it's probably pretty small on your screen. Let me see if I can make it a little bigger. She says, okay, we've done that experiment. Now we're still doing the ball drop experiment, and we're using 3 balls, and she's explaining what she's doing. This is awesome. And she's got more questions in here, but here's the key part. This is the last sentence here. She says, "My husband and son decided to venture off into the great wide unknown and try an experiment that's even further, that goes above and beyond the science experiment that I'm presenting," which means they're so excited about what they just learned that they wanted to go off and try something else all on their own. And they already have the framework for how to do the experiment, how to do it effectively, and how to measure the results. And now they're so curious and interested, they're designing experiments that are above and beyond what the program has. And this is key, because this is where your science curriculum is going to do the teaching for you. So how do you do that? How do you use a program so your kids are like, "Oh, I got it, Mom, I got it, no problem." And they turn around and like, "Okay, well, I learned A, but then I went off and did B, C, D, and I found E, F, and G was true also." So this is what you want for your kids. You don't want to be like studying physics if it's not your thing. You can certainly do it alongside your kids, but you don't have to. Okay, so how do you do this? Well, there's 3 simple steps, and my online eScience program actually covers these and does them for you. But let me outline what these 3 simple steps are and show you how my online science program does it, so you can do this at home with your own kids, no matter what curriculum you're using. Okay, so the first step is you have to get them interested and excited about the topic that they're doing. Now, if your kids are bored with science, starting with academics is going to be really hard. And if they've already been turned off to science, if they're between grades like 4, 5, 6, 7, right in there, and they haven't had positive, encouraging, really exciting science experiences so far, chances are they're already starting to be turned off, and that's not what you want. But if that's where you are, the first step is not to do step 1, step 2, step 3. Start with unit 1, mechanics. Start with unit 2, momentum. Don't do that because that'll turn them off even more. Instead, what you want to do is this. Okay, in my online science program, you're going to go under topics, and then you're going to pick a topic that is already exciting to your kids. So you're going to start with what they're already interested in. Are they interested in rockets? Are they interested in light and lasers? Is it chemistry? Is it physics? Is it electricity and robotics? Are they interested in alternative energy? So whatever it is it electronics? You see where this is going. So we want to start with what already is of interest to them because they're already burned out. After you've excited and interested your kids, or suppose you've got kids that are already interested in science, you can start here as well. Now, the great thing about my program is it doesn't go in sequence. You can hop and skip and jump all around, and there's no difference. You'll be building your own science curriculum as you go, based on interest and based on ability. So basically, you want to start with something that your kids are already interested in. Suppose it's electricity. A lot of kids love the idea of building their own robots from junk, that sort of thing. So they love the idea of building circuits, but they don't have a clue as to how to do it, right? So what do you do? Well, so you would go into the program, okay, and you would go by topic, and you would find a topic that excites them. So we'll click on Unit 10, Electricity, and then, whoop, did I click it? Yeah, okay. So we have Unit 10, Electricity. Now, by the way, this is the old website. I should be showing you the new website. We just launched a new website like 2 weeks ago. Okay, and so in here, you're going to have Unit 10, Electricity, and then we are going to go into, actually, why don't we do that right now? Let me just flip over to the new site. Let's see. Okay, so this is the old site. Here's the new one. I don't know if I'm logged into the new one. Okay. Okay, and so we're gonna pop into the new site on that same page. There we go. Okay, so we have circuits and electricity. So here is a video that shows the how and why, what we're gonna study, and why you should care. Okay, so that's really step number 1, is you have to engage your kids and make it relevant. Like, why should they be studying this in the first place? And then the second step is you want to provide them with opportunities that are real and exciting for them. So you want to give them an experience of what it's really like. So if they are interested in robotics, you just don't want to read about it. You actually want to build it, and you want to get in there, and you don't want to get bogged down by the details. So this is where the program, my online science program, really shines, because look at this. All you would have to do, these scientific concepts, these are just for grown-ups. You just click on a lesson that you want. Which one would you like to start with? We got dimmers and motor speed controllers. We have simple switches, conductivity testers, tripwires, burglar alarms, pressure sensors, latching circuits, nerve sensors, electroscopes, lie detectors. I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on. There's a lot in here. Solar batteries, fruit batteries, electrolysis. There's tons of things. So you start there. And a lot of these experiments use reusable materials or stuff that's easy to get. Now, I actually did a whole video just that shows, if you don't have a battery pack and a motor and wires, how you can do the same exact experiments with paper clips and rubber bands and aluminum foil and masking tape. You can make your own wires. You can make your own everything. So that's in there as well. And a lot of this stuff uses common everyday things. Like if you look at the pictures here, here we've got, let's see if you can see it. We got salt and vinegar in this one, and a wire and some nails. Here we've got some silverware and a piece of foil. Let's see what's in here. This is a beaker in the full of a solution of water and salt. And we also have, let's see, what else do we have? We have water bottles in here. We have stuff from the spice rack. So we want kids to, this is part of the magic, by the way, is we don't want to make it so hard for them to do science that they get turned off because they don't have the specialty pieces or the exact thing that I have that's in the video. Actually, we want to make it as easy as possible. We want to lower that barrier to entry and make it really easy for kids just to rummage around the house and use what they have, because honestly, that's how the real world works, right? Because once they Scientists don't usually order these really specialty items. They just kind of use what's off the shelf, what's cheap, effective, and what'll do the job. And that's what we want kids to get in the habit of doing. So most of the program uses easy to get materials, or with electronics, it'll reuse those over and over. So there's 24 different robots they can build. I'll show you that in a second. And when they're done with robot number 1, they take it apart, make robot number 2, take it apart, make robot number 3. And it's made out of popsicle sticks and things like water bottles and the same battery pack and motors over and over and over again. You seeing the theme? So things like snap circuits are great if you're familiar with that. It's a toy where kids make their own little circuits. The challenge is it keeps kids in a box because they can only build as long as they can snap things to it. And once they run out of parts, well, that was it. This is much more open-ended, so it gives kids the foundation, and so they're not constrained by these 1 little, 2 little, 3 little circuits they can make. It's actually unlimited. Once kids learn how to read schematics, they can build just about anything. Okay. Robots. I promised to show you some robots. Let me show you that. Okay, so we did step 1. You got to catch their attention and get them interested and excited about a topic. Step number 2, you have to give them an experience that's meaningful to them. You got to make it relevant. Why should I learn this? Who cares? You got to answer those questions. And then you give them the experiments. You start building robots. If that's what they want to do, why hold back? Build as many robots as you can. And then step number 3 happens all by itself. And this is the step that most teachers will jump to. And so if you're doing a science curriculum and it's like, this is so much work, it's because you haven't done steps 1 and step 2, usually. There are some exceptions, but usually it's because you skip to step 3, and that is you introduce the academics. And the reason we put this last is because now kids want to learn. They've already made their robots, they've made their static electricity machines. Now they're curious. They're like, well, why does that work? How come the ball did this, but instead it went this way when I changed this? Why did the blue light make this happen, but the red light made that happen? What's the difference? So they're driven by curiosity, and they're driven from the inside out. So it's not like you're trying to push a freight train up the hill. That's what it feels like when you do step 1. When you do the academics first, you have to stack it so they're interested and excited about what you're talking about. They want to hear your message, and now they're off and running. And this is how you effectively use a science curriculum, any curriculum, honestly. And this is where your kids will be waking up in the morning, they're like, Mom, I'm ready to do science, and they're off and running, and you don't have to do a thing. I mean, you're there to work the gas pedal when they need to go to the grocery store for some more parts. They're out of lemon juice, they're out of red cabbage juice, whatever it is. And then they're so excited because they can come back and say, Mom, I understand this stuff. Or Dad, I understand this stuff. Let me explain it to you. And you can just see it because they're on fire, their eyeballs are glowing, and their whole face is just happy, and they're like, I get this. The best compliments I get are the ones where the kids are like, Aurora, you make me feel smart. And they're like, wait, no, I make me feel smart, which is, it's just amazing. Okay, robots. I promised to show you some robots. By the way, if you just joined me, I know Facebook people blip in and out. So my name's Aurora with Supercharged Science, and we are talking about how to effectively use your curriculum to take you as the parent out of the equation, so it's kid driven. So the kids are the ones teaching themselves, and they just come to you in case they have a question, or question about safety or something like that. And so everything is set up, and it's in a safe environment, and you can just push the play button and say go, and they are doing their thing. They're responsible for their own education, turn around and come back and teach you science. Now, I should pre-frame this by saying, here, I can't do 2 things at once. I'm trying to push the robot button at the same time talking. So I need to pre-frame this where this is not a one-time thing. Like, for example, you just can't sign them up and hope that this is going to work, and you haven't set things up earlier. Meaning that if you've already trained your kids that they need to come to you for everything, they're going to come to you no matter what curriculum you use. This is something that you need to be working on a daily basis. And I learned this early on with my 4th kid. I actually have 4 children. We were doing everything for him. He was the baby of the family. When it was time to put on his shoes, when he was little, he would stick out his little foot just like this, and everybody would just run to put his shoes on. And I realized, whoa, hang on. That's not what we want to see when that kid's a teenager. So I realized that we were doing too much for him, and I didn't allow him the space and time to develop those skills to take care of himself. Now, my daughter still has that tendency. Anytime, you know, he's sad or he's upset or he's, you know, he's working on something, even if he's not emotionally, you know, feeling discouraged, she'll still step in and help. And I have to, you know, I appreciate you're helping him, but this is something he has to do on his own. So giving him personal responsibilities, and it could be simple stuff, you know, like a checklist in the morning has 6 items on it. That's what we do in our house. As soon as he hits those 6 items, he gets, then he's done and he's ready for the rest of the morning, you know, like getting dressed and making the bed and all that kind of stuff, and making his own breakfast. And he does that. And every so often he'll make me breakfast, which is fantastic. So this is something that you want to think about. If your kids are constantly running to you and just requiring, and they just sit there and they're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Mom, you got to help me. You got to take a look at how you are showing up and what are you doing to encourage your kids to take responsibility for their own actions. And so that's a whole other topic. We actually talked about it a few days ago in a Facebook Live. Look at it. It's under my video library. You can click on that as well. Okay, let me show you some robots. You ready? Here we go. So this is the second section. So we have circuits and we have robotics. So I clicked on the robotics, and this video here is the how and the why we should care about robots, how to stay safe, electricity is predictable. Here, let's go into robotics actually. Okay, so this was just like the cover page here. And this is more me talking about what we're going to cover and why it's important. And then we have all of the different robots that you can build. There are tons of them. You can make propeller cars, amphibious robots. They go in land and water. You can make race cars, remote controls out of soap boxes, 2 different kinds of remote controls, a bumper bot. Oh, this one's super cool. You know, I don't think I have this one right here. It's made out of popsicle sticks, and there's no programming, but as soon as this thing, it's wired, so as soon as this thing hits a wall, it stops, reverses the motor, and goes in the opposite direction. No programming. And in fact, the contacts for the mechanism that does that mechanically are actually 2 pennies and a piece of wire. And so just being able to reverse the wiring all by itself is what it does. So it's a really cool example of how mechanically you can change what circuits do. Okay, what else were we talking about? We were talking about, oh, there's some more advanced ones. This is an underwater ROV robot. Here, I'll click on that one because that one's really really popular. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Hang on, something just crashed. Did I mention it's a brand new website? Yes, and we are finding all kinds of interesting things like that. Hang on, let me find it on the old website for you. Okay, so it's an underwater remote controlled robot, and actually this is one that I started teaching when I was doing live classes with kids because it was such a fun experiment to do with them. Here we go, topics, robotics. Here, let me show you where I'm clicking around. So again, those 3 steps, you remember what they were? Okay, so they were, you got to get them interested and excited in a topic. And we're going to go back to the old website here just so I can show you real quick. And then I'm going to go fix that problem because it's important to fix things as soon as you find out about them. Okay, robot experiments and videos. Okay. Oh, and something else I should mention. Okay, so you got to get them interested and excited about a topic, give them experience in their hands-on, practical, real-world experience, and then you follow up with academics. Because otherwise you're just doing a bunch of whiz-bang experiments that at the end of the day, did you learn anything? No, but I had fun. That's not what a science curriculum is. Kids that bounce around on YouTube and call that an education, that's what they're doing. And it's very hollow. It's like just eating candy all day. It's not sustainable long term. Okay, so let's see. We got robotics. Where's the ROV? So something else I wanted to show you. Okay, we got sensors. Underwater. Here it is. Okay. So the underwater ROV robot looks just like this. Okay. And let me start the video. Okay. And this is one you'll probably build in a weekend. And what's super cool about this one, we have lots of pictures.
For this part of the project.
Oh, hang on. You've got PVC pipe stuff you can get from the hardware store. We're gluing things together. It shows you how to do that. Now we're wiring up the motors and making them waterproof. You can see what the videos look like. They're step by step. And now we put propellers on there. And now we're making a switch box out of a soap box. And we're wiring up the switches. And let's see, here I am at the very end showing the finished product and then also showing where you can continue. And I'm explaining how the controls are going to work. Okay, just like that. So what's really cool about this is a lot of science curriculums will do experiment like this. It'll say step 1, step 2, step 3, and then here's the final result, and then you're done. I don't know about you, but if I'm going to train my kids to be a scientist, it's not a laundry list to get done. Real scientists don't just do an experiment that they already know the answer to. So what we do is we actually show you step 1, step 2, step 3. This is where you want to be headed. And now here are 5 more ideas on how to take this and make it even better. So that first initial email that I was reading to you, the comment that was submitted to the website was about the father and the son that were working with that experiment. We were so excited. They did like 9 other experiments above and beyond. And that's what we were showing in the program. And that's actually what the program was designed to do. It's not a, hey, you finished this, therefore you get a check mark. No, it's designed to inspire and instill a wonder and curiosity through exploration and imagination and discovery. So using those elements, we're building a kid. It's not about building the robot. It's about using the robot and the experiments and the science to build a kid that has all these things that you want in your kids. It's got diligence and focus and perseverance and leadership and all those qualities. That's the whole reason we're doing this in the first place. Okay, so let me pause just for a minute and see. Sometimes people have questions. If you do have questions as we go along, you can type it in the comment box. Let's see. Feel free to type anything in the comment box. I just now realized we have a comment box. That's fabulous. And then I'm going to share a couple more things on how to get your curriculum to work for you so you don't have to be doing all the work, because it's exhausting. I mean, you do a lot during the day, you as parents, and to feel like you need to be the expert in absolutely everything is crazy. And so I'm not an expert by far in like foreign language. I would hire an expert to teach my kids, like a native speaker, to be around my kids and just so they can soak that up and absorb it. And you want to do that too. And one of the other things, when you're looking for an expert, is you want to look, of course, are they qualified to teach my kid? But you also want to think about, what qualifies them to teach my kid? Specifically, if your kids are going to be spending a lot of time learning from a textbook, a curriculum, how much do you really know about the person who put that thing together? Do you know much about the academic writers that built that science curriculum? So you want to really take a close look on what your kids are going to be learning and what they're excited about and what they're passionate about, and can they relate that in a way that kids can really understand and connect with. One of my top complaints that I get when I teach a live class that we do monthly is, you talk too fast. And I thought about it, and I'm like, what a compliment. I talk fast because I'm excited, because I want to share what I'm passionate about. Can you imagine if I started a class in science, say we were doing like robotics, and I said, well, class, today we're going to talk about robots and electricity. And I thought we would start by talking about Maxwell's 4 equations, the first of which has to do with static charges. I mean, you would turn me off immediately, right? It's not engaging at all. I'm dry, I'm boring, and it doesn't even look like I'm interested in what I'm saying. I'm putting myself to sleep. So whatever curriculum you're using, it's got to instill that love of learning, and it's got to relay that passion and that excitement. And that's what you really want to look for in a curriculum. That's the curriculum that will drive your kids to want to get up in the morning and do their science. Now, if you haven't already tried our online science program, I encourage you to do it. You can try the first 30 days for just $1. Just go to superchargedscience.com/easy. Like, wow, that was so easy, because she's teaching my kids and I'm not, and my kids are learning way more than I could have possibly taught them. That kind of easy. You can just go to www.superchargedscience.com/easy and take a look at that and see if it's something you'd like to try. It's risk-free for 30 days. There's no hoops, no hassles. And if it doesn't work out, just let us know. Within the first 30 days, we'll give you a full refund. We'll even refund your $1. And if you like it, you're going to stick with us. And there are 2 different groupings. You can do, we charge per household, not per child. So everybody in your house can participate just for 1 enrollment. So you can use the K through 8 enrollment, or you can choose the K through 12 enrollment, whichever one works best for your family. Okay, so other questions that I have been getting, I got some email just now, so let me read those. Okay, so one of the questions was, sorry about that. I have I have a 3rd grader, a 7th grader, and a 12th grader. How do I use the science curriculum and teach them all at the same time? Okay, that's a really good question. You're not going to be able to teach the 12th grader at the same pace and the same scope as you are the elementary school kids. So it's going to be different. So what you would do is you would use my online science program, but each kid will log in individually in terms of from a different computer, and they can access different parts of the same program. Another question that just got emailed in. Is it possible to switch to your curriculum, or can I use your curriculum alongside ours? Okay, so yes, you can switch. It's as I mentioned, our curriculum is based on interest and ability. It does go by grade levels, which I totally didn't show you. So let me show you. Show you that right now. Here, I'm going to flip over. Okay, so you'd simply click on grade levels, and let me flip over to the new site because that's the one we want everybody to start using, including myself. Okay, and then you simply select the grade level that's appropriate for your child. Now, some kids are going to be more advanced than others, and in terms of what they can handle and what they're interested in. So you can play with this. So suppose they're in 4th grade. So you click on 4th grade, and these are the topics that 4th graders need to cover. And this is based on national standards for science, as well as my own personal feeling for my personal experience in teaching kids and how the concepts stack over time over a K through 12 journey. So for 4th grade, you would need to cover energy, electricity, magnetism, life science, and earth science. And so when you click on one of these, here, let's click on earth science, for example. These are the topics, as soon as it loads, these are the topics that you need to cover. And by the end of working through this lab, your students will be able to do all these things. And here are the labs that cover what you will be doing. And the cool thing about, you can hop, skip, and jump around, because when you click on one of these, you'll be taken to the lesson. And most people do 1 to 2 lessons every time they do science. And whoops, I am not logged in. I was thinking that might happen. And so when here, let's go back to the old site really quick. So yeah, you'll have to log in order to access everything. So when you go to this experiment, what you'll see is, whoops, of course it's not going to show it. Why would it show it when it's live? That's actually one of Aurora's 2 rules about things that work and don't work. Anytime you're trying to do science or trying to do something in front of lots of people, it just doesn't work the first time. Okay, so here, let me go back to where we were, and let me show you. So you can actually build a science journal by going to each page. Here we go. So what you do is you're going to pick one of these. I'll take a look at that and see what happened there. So you're going to pick an experiment that you'll do, and within that, the experiment is a downloadable PDF. So what that means is as you go through, you can build your own science journal. So you don't have one major workbook for one whole section. You can skip and jump around depending on how much time you have for science and what materials you already have available to you. So you'll be able to put together your own custom curriculum based on your child's interest and ability. So if you find halfway through the magnetism lesson, you're like, oh, my kid's got this. We don't need to do all the experiments because they've already got it, right? So you don't have to continue. You could stop and then do something else, and you've already got your journal and your science journal for that section. Okay, and so here, let me just try to log in so I can show you. Okay, so we are logged in. Okay, here we go. It's funny, sometimes I can't even remember how to log into my own website. Okay, so let's go back to here. Okay, so that's something you can download. And at the end of every grade level, there is also, here, I'll show you my face while it's loading. So there's also an assessment packet, so you can give that to your kids to see where the holes are and how much they've already covered. And so that's something that you can use. So again, it takes you out of the equation. You're just printing stuff off and handing it to them if they're not able to do that on their own. Okay, so ideally, how do you take yourself out of the equation of using a science curriculum? How do you make it more effective? You've got to follow those 3 steps. First, you've got to get their interest. Then you're going to give them a practical, real-world experience for them in what they're interested in. And then the third thing is you're going to follow up with those academics. And it's easy once you know how to use a curriculum to do that. And by the end of the day, your kids are excited and they want to learn more, which is really what you're doing this for in the first place. And it doesn't have to be hard. In fact, step 1 in the lasers, the light and lasers topic is actually go tell your mom, so this is the directions to the kids, go tell your mom to take a hot shower and use all the hot water. Use every little drop. And then when she's done, have her come out, and then that bathroom is all yours. And the reason is you're setting the stage for having a steamy bathroom, which usually has lots of mirrors, which are reflective, which is perfect for doing your laser experiments in, because you can turn off the lights. This is great to do at night, by the way. Turn on some 80s music, and now you've got your checklist of all these things you need to do in the bathroom while it's still foggy, and you can see the beams reflecting and being absorbed and all these things, right? So you can make it fun and entertaining. And honestly, if your job is just to take a hot shower with a curriculum, I mean, how many science curriculums can give you that? So I hope this has been helpful. I hope it's giving you some real distinctions on ways to use your curriculum. Oh, the other question that came in that I forgot to answer was how to use this curriculum alongside or in place of. Because this curriculum is based on, because it's based on interest and ability, so you go to menu and you can pick any of these topics, or you can go by grade level. And so you can hop and skip around. You just start where you feel your kid is most interested in starting, and you take it from there. And so how do you do it with another curriculum? So if you're using another curriculum, one of the things that we don't advertise, but we do as a courtesy, just for being part of our science family, is we actually offer conversion units. So if you send us a table of contents to any curriculum you're using, we will turn around and point exactly out which areas of our curriculum program you should be using. And we've actually had so many from a couple of big name curriculums, like we've had so many requests for Apologia. Apologia actually has its own section and its own page, where I have gone through the actual Apologia, every single page in their textbooks, and looked at their labs and said, you know what, this one's not safe, this one is flat boring, here, do this one instead. So it's an exact match to the version textbook you'll be using. So that one's in there as well. And there's a bunch of them, and there's one from Becca, and anyway, there's a lot of different ones in there, and I think they're all posted in there that you can check out. So that's just something we do to help take care of our families, because once you're part of our science family, you're one of us. And if you have any questions at all, this is for the kids working through the program, they are going to be asking me those questions and getting a response back, like I just showed you with the ball bounce and the momentum thing earlier. So I hope this has been helpful. Remember, just the whole point that you're doing this is to inspire your kids to love learning and to get out there and learn how to ask questions, design experiments, get back their answers. Remember, science isn't a laundry list to get done. It's a process. It's a way of thinking, and that requires training, and you need to set up the structure and the framework so your kids are more successful with this long term, because you want to instill a love of learning that is sustainable and lasts a lifetime, because, it's just fun to build robots out of junk and then be able to, have it flip burgers and make your bed for you in the morning, right? So if you haven't joined us already for a free class where you can really get a feel for how this works, you can go to superchargedscience.com/class, CLASS. Our next class coming up, I believe, is in marine biology, and then we have another one in geology and robotics and chemistry coming up as well. So make sure you sign up for that. If you'd like to try eScience for $1 for the first 30 days, no hassles, no hoops, no contracts, no busyness like that, simply go to superchargedscience.com/easy, like, wow, that was really easy. And you can sign up for that and just give it a try right now and see if it's a good fit for your family. I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you next time. Take care, everybody.